Hello, welcome to another video in this Rails API and React series. And in this particular video, I was supposed to work on the edge challenges part, like creating the UI, connecting with the backend and all. But before I do that, I'll just show you some optimization in React, basically the power of React. And in that, I'll work on some UI related part just to show you what is the best way to work with React. And after that, I might write not the best React code in upcoming series, and later on at the end of the series, I'll definitely optimize on things. But right now, I'm showing you this video because if you want to optimize various UI related things on your own, you'll at least have the knowledge at this point only. So let's do some work. Let's go to login, and in that we have seen this basic items. So I'll do two things, or maybe more. Let's start and see. Okay. The first thing that I'll do is I'll create my custom button. Okay. Right now we are using HTML button. I won't use that. I will create a custom button, which in turn be using HTML button only. But I want to create a generalized button which I can use across the application. Okay. I'll show you some example around it. Let's go to code and nope, nope. Okay. So what I want to do is I'll first show you the problem, and then maybe you can understand why I'm trying to do and why I'm explaining you all these things. So I want to create a button, but that button should have some sort of elevation. The best example that I can find out about is on Gumroad. Let me show it to you. Okay, so if you see this button, they have a elevation sort of thing, right? Like as soon as we hover over it, it has a border at the end. Uh, it looks really good, right? Now to do this, I don't know what other developers might do, but what I'm thinking is it has two layers to it. One is the base layer and second is the top layer, or maybe we can say one is the parent and second is the child. So parent is a background with, I think, some sort of gray color, and children has a background of pink, and finally it has a text of start selling. Okay, so I'll try to implement this button. We can at least I cannot do this by simply using button. I will have to use nested elements in this. So let's try to do this. What I'll do is I'll create a div. Inside that I'll create a button. Okay, I'll use something like this only. Okay, and for now I'll just write login. Okay, because I just want to show you this actually. There is no other intention of doing this. Okay, so login is there. Let me show you Gumroad again so that, okay, by default, the color of the button is sort of grayish, and then we hover, it changes to pink, right? So we'll do something similar, but not exactly same. So by default, our color will be, yeah, this, no, gray. It doesn't look that great. Maybe gray 200? No. Then text black. Yeah, so somewhat around gray 400. Okay, it might not be the best UX, but I'm just trying to explain you some concepts. Okay, and on hover, the color is changing. Okay, I want it like this only, but let's make this a bit lighter color, 400. Yeah, and slate. Or let's do it like this. Indigo 200 to Indigo 600. Why is Indigo? Okay, INDIGO. Indigo 200 is this, and we hover. Okay, great. So I think it looks much better to me. Yes. The only thing that I will change is on hover, we will change the button color from, sorry, text color from black to white. Okay, let's try this. Okay, looks correct to me. Not the best, but it's still good. Now I want the elevation part also. For that, What I'll do is I'll create a class name bg gray, no, not gray. Our secondary color is indigo 300, right? Or yes, something like this. And again, this rounded and all, I'll use this also, rounded and all. Okay, I'll have to increase the width of this text. So for that, maybe flex should work. No, flex. Okay, finally W full should work. Yes. So we can see it's still same, but there is one thing that I will add, which is translate. Basically shift this button towards, let me write it so that you will understand this better. Translate, it's a CSS property, tailwind CSS. Let me check translate to quickly see this. Okay, translate X this and Y this. Okay. So translate X to and translate Y to. Okay, by default it is translated. We don't want that. We want this to work only on hover. But the entire button is shifting. What we want is a bit different thing, and we want it to be going upward, not coming downwards. So what I will do is I'll make it negative. Okay, let's not focus on this part. Now what is happening is that when I translate this child, which is the button, it is also translating along with it. So I'll have to control it somehow. For that, let's use it here and let's translate to the negative side. For now, let's use 0. And we can see this is happening, right? But what I want is even the background should translate a bit. So for that, I'll give 0.5, 0.5. Yes, even the background is translating and towards the negative x-axis. No, both of these are going in same direction, which is from bottom right bottom to left top. So this should be negative 2. But if we are making this one negative, then this will the effect of this one will be minus 1.5. Okay, because 0.5 it is translating, and with respect to that, I think, yeah, let's see. So we can see it is working correctly, but now I'll just reduce this a bit. Nope, not the best. Two is too much. No, it's fine, I think. Looks good. Or maybe just 1. I'm a bit confused here because I want something like 1.5, but I'm not fully sure if it exists. It does, it does. Great. Translate 1.5. Yes, it does exist. Great. So you can see this button is looking good. Obviously, it would look much more better if the entire page was a bit decorated, but this one is fine for me. Now there's one advantage and disadvantage of this entire code, which is we have written this code. It should work for this. Let's copy this entire thing here, paste it here, fix the indentation, get rid of this. Great. All good and all. Everything is working great. Sorry, I made some mistakes here. I think I should just copy this, nothing else. Can you mention what is the disadvantage of this? I'll just explain you. Okay, it is working great. The disadvantage of this is now if I have to use this button anywhere else, I'll have to write this much code again and again. Okay, which can be a bit problematic because we are repeating a lot of code at the same time. What if we have to get rid of this entire design? Okay, and in that case, we will have to do a lot of work. So to fix that, there is one option for us, which is to create an element. I'll create a folder called element, and inside that I'll create my own button. But now, how will I differentiate between an HTML button or my custom button? So I will write button.jsx. B should be capital. That way I can easily understand this. Return, and inside that I'll write this entire code. Okay, now there are a couple of disadvantages. If we have to use this, we can just use the name. For example, I'll comment this and I'll write something like login. And now I'll export this, export default button. Great. So we'll export this, get it here, something like, yes, this one got imported at the top. Okay. Save this and we can see everything is working great. The ab above one is the button that we have created. But whenever we are doing this, first thing that we will do is the text will be different for various buttons, right? So we'll have to send this information from our parent component to our button element. So for that, I did mention it in previous videos that everything that you pass in these components are called properties. Okay. One such specific property is called children. Let me explain you. So if you have a look at this particular button, okay, only this code, don't think about anything else. So these are all properties of this button, okay, and this is a children of this button, okay. So we can send all this information to this custom button that we have created. The only difference is when we are sending this internal thing, which is the children, we will have to access them as children only. Okay, so I can use this here. I can get that children here and get rid of this. And let's have a look at this one. And you will see again this button is working correctly. If we go to register, it is working correctly. So this is the first advantage that I'm showing you of React. We have created our custom component. It is following our theme. Just assume that we just have to use something like this, which is really easy to use, right? And we have this such custom design which can be used everywhere, right? But again, there are some things that I want to optimize on. The first thing is, how will we register if the button has been clicked? Okay, in this particular case, we are not registering that because we are calling this directly. But what if I want to do this? So in that case, what I can do is, let me change this form a bit. I'll write this handle submit. Where is it? Handle submit, right? Spam call. So instead of calling that function via form submit, I'll call that function via button click. Something like this, on click. Let's refresh. And if I click on the below button, which is the original button that we had here, we can see still the handle submit button, handle submit function is working. So now we just have to pass this information in here also. The best way, you can do it in various ways. I'll show you one way, but later on we will optimize this on this. For example, I'll write something like handle click, and in that I'll pass my function. Some issue with mouse. I'll pass this function. Okay. Now I'll have to just catch this as a property. So for that, again, comma, handle click. And what I will do is inside this button or maybe inside this div, whatever you can decide, on click this. So basically what is happening is we are passing this information to our handle submit. Handle submit is equivalent to handle click. Now handle click is getting called whenever we on click on this button. Okay, so let's have a look at it. Again, this one is working. I'm checking the top one, which is the custom button. Now I've shown you the advantage of that, but a better way of writing this, the more React way of writing this would be using on click only. Okay, this is not the function that this is not the property of a button that normally has it is just a normal property that we are passing in our custom element. It could have been on, it could be of any name. We are choosing it on click so that if in future we have to change anything, it becomes really easy because these names won't change. Okay, so I'll just use that everywhere. Okay, refresh, and still it is working. Maybe here we can write it at something. No, I'll have to write it like this only. So you can see another advantage. Now there is one more thing that I want to do. If we go to Gumroad, this button is different than this. What if we want to do the same thing? In that case, we will have to change the forward for the children color, which is this button, and the div color, which is the background. Background is gray. So what I will do is I will create a property called parent classes, or maybe parent class name, similar to class name, but parent and child I am differentiating a bit. So for parent, I will use something like BG red 500. Okay, now let's see. Here I'll catch that parent BG parent class name. Okay, and let's use this. Oh, sorry. Great. Now instead of using this directly, I'll use this variable, which is parent class. Okay. I'm keeping all those other things same because these are the properties which will anyways have to keep for each and every button. But color code we can change, font color we can change. So I'll just pass this. Okay. And let's see the advantage of this. Now you can see red as a background, right? So this is also working great. But what if I just send this information to keep the very minimal button? In that case, if I hover this, the background is white because we don't have any background. This is an empty value. So this is going as an empty value. So now I will define a default value for this, which is BG Indigo 300. Now we can see again this. So I'm assuming that by now you would have gotten the hang of what we are trying to do. Okay. By the way, even HTML works up to in some way like this only. For example, I can show you quickly. Button hello slash button. Okay, in this case it is not working, but if you would have used it in HTML, you would have noticed that by default this button comes as gray because they have these default values set up already. So something similar I will do for the internal classes also, which is internal is this one, which is child classes are this and parent classes are this. Okay, so let's use this. I know for some of you it might have been boring, but I just want to show you the advantage of React and how you can handle it in a better way. So I'll pass, let's use this actually. Yeah, let's not use this. Or maybe we can. Children, blue. Okay, and again, same thing, default value. I'll cut this from here, paste it here, use string interpolation here, and use our, okay, comma, use our this class. And you can see the advantage of this. The default color is different, everything is different, right? Even we can change it to, let's say, orange. And you can see the advantage. Everything is changing. What I want is on hover, I want it to be orange only. So what I will do is I will also make one more change, which is hover color. Normally, I get rid of all the colors from these kind of custom components and define the default colors. And in rest of the cases, I just use custom colors if I want to. Let's pass it here. On hover, I want to change this color. So let's pass it here. On hover, I want to change this text color. Let's pass it here. And we don't want this. Great. And I'll just break this into multiple lines. And now you can see each and everything clearly. Maybe just 200. Yes, it is working great. And if I want to change the color, hover color and all those things, I can change hover, BG, green, 200. Great. You can see. Now, whenever we want to use this button, we just have to pass in things like this. There is one more property which we can use. Uh, ID, for example, random. Now we are not passing this ID, we are not catching it here, right? So what I can do is I can use dot 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 rest, and I'll use this here. Wait. Why is the spread operator not working correctly? We are spreading all the properties here. We are again spreading them, but I think we don't need to. Rest is declared but never used. Okay. Using spread operator in React custom component. Let's have a look at it. So we have these properties. Nope. Dot 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 this. No. Unknown property. Why is it coming as unknown property? Is declared but is never used. Okay. Okay, let's not get stuck on this. If I like write rest, it will have to, no, this one is correct because whatever, all the values that we fetch which does not match with this, all of them will get set in this array. That's correct. Yes, it should work now. Now let's see, inspect. If we go to this button, let's inspect this. And do we have ID? Yes, we have this ID random. Okay. We were not catching it here, but it went through this rest. We spread that. Spread means you can pass even 10 different properties here, and all of those will get set to rest operator. And we just have to use JSX to correctly work on that. I was missing on that point. So I hope things are clear to you now, how it can be an advantage. You can apply this similar concept for your input box also, mainly something like doing it something like this. Create a custom component in which input and error are together. So that in that same component, you can pass all the properties as well as you can pass the error also, which can be shown easily. Okay. So you can create a custom component for this entire input basically. Okay. So this is working. Let's get rid of this button. We don't need this now. And we will do something similar for others also. But if we take the most simplest version, this is what our button will look like. And you can see how much simplified it is now with this custom styling. Okay, so that's it for this video. And yeah, 25 minutes, yeah, it's a good length. So that's it for this particular video. I know it might have been boring for some of you guys, but the main concept of showing you this concept was now you can create your custom component for input, for link, for titles, everything, and you can just reuse them again and again. There is one more thing that there are two things actually. One is the concept when to use this. So if you are creating a component or an element like a button, input, date picker, anything, if you're using it only once, I would suggest not to create a separate element, directly use it. But if you know that it will get used again and again, then create an element. Okay, for example, input, button, link, all of these are really common. It will get used again and again. So try to replicate them using your custom component. That's one. Second, for example, I mentioned date picker. So date picker is something which will, in our project, will get used only once. So in that case, you can avoid creating a separate element and directly using it. Okay, so try to follow this simple principle because creating element for each and everything can be painful also. Now there is another thing which I wanted to mention that was related to, actually I missed out on that. Button we have covered this concept, basic concept. We have this, maybe we can create a simple error class also because error is something that we will be showing again and again. And we have this form also. There are no further UI changes that I'll be doing. Let's get rid of this also. Anything else that I should focus on? I think that's it. Now you can try out creating your custom input as well as link as well as errors also. And I hope that in coming videos, I will be following React from a very simple point of view. But you know already how you can optimize it, and I would suggest you to do that. I might do that at the end of the series. I just want to keep in mind how much long this video series is going to be. And do comment, like, share. If you love this particular concept, do let me know. Thank you. Bye bye.